burn the flag, go to jail. That's President Donald Trump's message to, well, pretty much everybody.
People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year.
That was something he mentioned in an address to troops at Fort Bragg yesterday. President Donald Trump went to the newly renamed Fort Bragg after it was unnamed Fort Bragg, and now is Fort Bragg once again. You know, it's like a back and forth thing. And he spoke to the troops, and they were ecstatic to see their commander in chief live and in person.
That's a beautiful sight, and it's a beautiful sight to be with you in a place called Fort Bragg. Can you believe they changed that name in the last administration for a little bit? But we'll forget all about that. Well, we're going to forget all about it. I want to just say God bless the U.S. Army and God bless the USA. Great place.
Great place, great people. God bless the USA. It's all true, just like the Lee Greenwood song. And President Donald Trump kicking off a week of festivities. Of course, it's the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. It's also the celebration of Flag Day coming up on Saturday, as well as President Donald Trump's 79th birthday. And there will be massive festivities in Washington, D.C. A parade, a military parade unlike any we've ever seen in this country. It should be very exciting. I know I'm personally excited about it. We will be taking a trip up to Washington, D.C. for the military parade, and we will be able to bring back some amazing footage and some exciting interviews, I hope, and other fantastic things. But President Donald Trump was at Fort Bragg to discuss how excited he is to be the commander-in-chief and how much the United States of America owes to the fighting men and women who protect us.
As President of the United States, let me express my undying gratitude to our nation for every soldier here today, for every veteran and their families, those incredible families that are with us and all across America, and for every patriot who has worn the uniform over 250 years. Can you imagine that? We thank you from the absolute bottom of our hearts.
President Trump also took the opportunity to pause for a moment and discuss something that's been going on in California, specifically Los Angeles, and that is the continued riots and looting and the unruliness and the criminal activity by illegal immigrants and those people who would seek to aid and abet them, and that includes the governor and the mayor of L.A.
Before going further, I want to say a few words about the situation in Los Angeles, California. Have you heard of the place? Where I've deployed thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to protect federal law enforcement from the attacks of a vicious and violent mob. And some of the radical left, they say, oh, that's not nice. Well, if we didn't do it, there wouldn't be a Los Angeles. It'd be burning today, just like their houses were burning a number of months ago. Generations of Army heroes did not shed their blood on distant shores only to watch our country be destroyed by invasion and third world lawlessness here at home, like is happening in California. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not let that happen. It's never going to happen. What you're witnessing in California is a full-blown assault on peace, on public order, and a national sovereignty carried out by rioters bearing foreign flags with the aim of continuing a foreign invasion of our country. We're not going to let that happen.
And that is one of the narratives that a lot of people have been pushing, is that, look, if they're out there and they're breaking things and looting things and destroying property and attacking our police officers and our federal agents and our ICE agents, and they're waving flags from foreign nations, whether it's Venezuela or Caracas, I've seen, or Mexico, which seems to be one of the most prominent ones. If you're out there waving the flag of another nation, especially Mexico, while you're standing on top of a burning American vehicle and you're throwing rocks and bricks and pelting American law enforcement agents, it is technically a foreign invasion, and you should be treated as such. And that's when President Donald Trump suggested we maybe need to have harsher laws for people who desecrate the emblem of the United States.
They proudly carry the flags of other countries, but they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. Did you see a lot of the flags being burned? They weren't being burned by people from our country or from people that love our country. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing. 1 year. And we'll see if we can get that done. We're going to try and get that done. We're working with some of your senators. I know Senator Josh Hawley is very much involved.
Yeah, he's very much involved in that and making sure that we are able to bring to justice people who desecrate the United States of America.
And the only flag that will wave triumphant over the streets of Los Angeles is the American flag. So help me God. The American flag is the one that's going to wave triumphantly over the street.
Which it brings up a point. A lot of people are curious. Why is it that these illegal immigrants who are here in the United States of America and claim to love the United States of America and want to be here for whatever reason, why is it that they're waving these flags of these other countries? And most people say, if you like that country so much, just go back home. And they go, I can't go back home because that country sucks. Well, then why are you waving the flag? Why not wave the flag of the United States of America, your new adopted home? And that is something that President Donald Trump is also questioning, as are a lot of senators and basically just any other normal person with common sense. Well, Donald Trump was leaving Fort Bragg. He was stopped on the tarmac by the press, and they were talking about all kinds of things. They were discussing, again, what's going on in Los Angeles. And one reporter asked about bringing in the military and whether or not that exacerbates the situation, to which President Donald Trump swiftly said, no, that's not at all. It does the opposite.
Are you concerned about anything that could go wrong by having the military there? They're trained from different places.
No, it can only go right. By having the military, it de-escalates. I mean, that was the only way. These people are agitators. They're troublemakers. I believe many of them are paid. I watched them breaking up the sidewalks with a big hammer, handing pieces of the concrete to other people.
Who do you think is paying for that?
Somebody's paying for it. Thank you.
We might have something to do with it.
Thank you for saying that. Somebody's paying for that. I watched total professionals. He's banging the curb, banging the granite, banging the concrete. And he had a whole group of people. They lined up like totally professional, grabbed the big chunks, and they dropped it on the soldiers. They dropped it on the Los Angeles police. These are insurrectionists, they're agitators, or troublemakers. At a minimum, they're troublemakers.
Yeah, at a bare minimum, they're just troublemakers. And Donald Trump says, look, I spoke to Governor Gavin Newsom, and I said, these people are obviously being paid.
No, I don't say the governor or the mayor. I said somebody's paying them, I think. And if they're not, they're just troublemakers. What can I tell you? But I believe somebody's paying them. I mean, I've never seen somebody with a big hammer, so professional. Now, they took the bricks away from them. So they say, how do we get in? The military did. How do we get in? And what do we do? They said, I have an idea. Let's break up the concrete. And that's even better than bricks. And that's what happened.
And Donald Trump has had a little bit of a back and forth with Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, who now gosh, it seems like that's like the third or fourth time that Gavin Newsom's been in the news because he's just allowing his city and his state to burn and be devastated by foreign invaders. Gavin Newsom just standing by watching the entire place just erupt in chaos and doing absolutely nothing to stop it, which is, I think that's his specialty, actually, is doing nothing. Gavin Newsom, he's never really been accused of doing something. He's always just you always just hear him on the news being accused of doing absolutely nothing. So I guess you go with what you know. But one of the other things that Gavin Newsom did was he lied supposedly about a phone conversation. And Donald Trump doesn't like it when people lie about him. So Donald Trump, get this, sent a screenshot of his phone log to Fox News to verify that he indeed had a lengthy conversation with Gavin Newsom, contrary to what Gavin Newsom was telling the world.
Going on between Gavin Newsom and President Trump. Gavin Newsom, after President Trump said in the noon hour in the Oval Office that he called him yesterday or the other day, Gavin Newsom tweeted the following. He said, quote, there was no call, not even a voicemail. Americans should be alarmed that a president deploying Marines on our streets doesn't even know who he's talking to. Well, President Trump contacted me from Air Force One on his way to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where he'll be in just a little while. He said the first call to Gavin Newsom was not picked up. The second call Gavin picked up. We spoke for 16 minutes. I told him to essentially, quote, and this is quoting the president, get his ass in gear and stop the riots, which were out of control more than anything else. This shows what a liar he is. Said I never called. So here is the evidence. And here is the call log that the president sent me from his phone. This was June the 7th. Now, Granted, this was on Saturday. But look, there's 1:22 o'clock in the morning, which would have been 10 o'clock at night, 10:22 at night, California time. There was an outgoing call for 4 seconds. And then there was an outgoing call for 16 minutes. So that from the president, which says is proof that he spoke to Gavin Newsom early in the morning, our time, late at night, Friday night, would have been June 6th, I guess, in Los Angeles. So, Governor, over to you for the response.
I was say that's next, right? We're waiting to see what if Governor Newsom has a response to the president's. Essentially, what he has there is the receipt for what he says is the call that was made.
Yeah, Donald Trump bringing receipts. Donald Trump saying, "Look, you can lie about a 60-minute phone conversation and say it never happened, but I've got the receipts." And Donald Trump, just like any regular person, screenshots his phone and sends it out and says, "Look, here it is." Boom. So, so we've got the proof that Gavin Newsom may be less than honest, which look, when it comes to honesty, I think President Trump wins in every respect against somebody like Gavin Newsom. And President Trump mentioned that on the tarmac as well.
He did not speak to you a day ago, as you said, in the Oval Office earlier. What's your response to that?
Well, I gave him, it wasn't a day ago, it was a little longer than that, and I presented the phone conversation to Fox News, John Roberts and Molly Line at Fox News, because they were the ones that said it. And we actually spent 16-point-something minutes on the phone, and I told him he's got to get his act together because you're going to have some bad times in Los Angeles if he doesn't. We had a pleasant conversation. The proof was from the phone company. It was from the phone company. So I spoke to him at a certain time. I'm sure you all saw it. You saw it. But why would you ask me that question if you saw it? He asked me a question, and then he says, "Yeah, I saw that you spoke to him." Yeah, I spoke to him for over 16 minutes. And I told him to get his act together, but he hasn't been able to do that. I mean, the man really, we could have a great. We have an Olympics coming up. We have to put the right foot forward. We have to do a job. We have a lot of people all over the world watching Los Angeles. We've got the Olympics, so we have this guy allowing this to happen.
Yeah, and Donald Trump saying, look, the Olympics are very important. We need to make sure that we put our best foot forward. We need to make sure that we protect all of the athletes and all of the visitors and everybody who's coming into the United States. There are people coming into the United States from all over the world. We have people coming into the United States from every single country almost. Visitors, merchants, athletes, their parents, dignitaries, leaders, world leaders, the media. All eyes will be on Los Angeles. And right now, Los Angeles is a smoldering ashtray thanks to Gavin Newsom, a literal dumpster fire. And Donald Trump is trying to stop that and quell it and squash it before the Olympics rolls in. Because it's something, again, it's important that we show the world that we are under control. We do have some breaking news that came out just before we hit record today, and Donald Trump posting on his Truth Social, a federal appeals court has just ruled that the United States can use tariffs to protect itself against other countries. A great and important win for the United States. And the story from the AP that we have says the appeals court lets Trump administration keep collecting tariffs while challenges continue. A federal appeals court agreed Tuesday to let the government keep collecting President Donald Trump's sweeping import taxes while challenges to his signature trade policy continue on appeal. The decision by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit extends a similar ruling it made after another federal court struck down the tariffs May 28th, saying Trump had overstepped his authority. Noting that the challenges to Trump's tariff raise issues of exceptional importance, the appeals court said it would expedite the case and hear arguments July 31st. So the tariffs will continue under President Donald Trump, and he will continue to bring in revenue from other countries, and he will continue to control the tariff levels on specific imports and exports and territories and geographies and everything else until July 31st, when they will hear the case. That is a huge win, not just for President Donald Trump, but for the United States of America. And we will cover more of that, of course, later on our second daily podcast. Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. If you don't yet subscribe to Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, consider this your personal invitation. Every single day we go live at 1 o'clock p.m. We live stream on all of our live streaming platforms. Or if you prefer, you can download the podcast. It's available at Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. It's called Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Download, listen, and enjoy.